don't need to throw. We're heading into game, though, for game number 3 between Team Wells and SBTC. Wells over on the red side, SBTC over on the blue side. And before anyone in chat flames me, I just want everyone to think how on earth they would charade so well, because I cannot think of any way to actually do that.
I mean, to be honest, we talked only about the whales. I'm not sure why you even tried to charade the whales. It was clear from the start that we were talking about the whales. But okay,
Yeah.
well, whatever.
Okay, but in more seriousness, let's talk about the matchup that we do have at hand, because I see Elise, therefore I scream about Elise and I look at where can Elise play, and to me it has to be around Glory in the mid lane.
Yeah, that was my first instinct as well, but I do feel like this is another one of those Killer Queen aggro games where they just want to perma-invade, because they did play the Elise just about a week ago in game number, I think it was 1, I can quickly check, and they did play a very, very aggressive style of Elise. It was permanently in the enemy jungle. Now, one of the most important things to act... Yes, that, I think.
Nagia, Emperor, can you outplay this? Just needs a couple more Q's flashes under the tower.
Nicely done.
And the solo kill Emperor returns.
That was a really cool solo kill too, because he kind of subverted expectations there. Nagia knows his way around Cassandra, so the obvious thing there was to do like the flash auto attack to finish the kill, but instead he flashed early, used his Q auto attack in the... Yeah, really nice. And actually, that's a huge kill for the tank matchup, because Cassandra, even though we're looking at that matchup and say, it's tank against tank, wet noodle fight, yada yada, that's not actually the case in Cassandra lanes, because he can punish tanks really, really heavily. We've seen Cassandra against Sion get 30 CS leads, and with this early solo kill and both summoners blown from Nagia, I think he's in for a world of hurt over there in the top lane.
And, DNK being forced out of his jungle, so Killer Queen doing what you kind of expected here, Yulway, being very aggressively, and maybe this is where Team Wales and BF said, right, Killer Queen, do you remember how you used to play in 2022? Right, that's how you're playing in this game. You are holding nothing back, full out aggression.
There's the mid gang.
Killer Queen looking towards the mid lane, good scatter the weak. Was that the cocoon that landed as well?
Yeah, I was very surprised by that too. That cocoon traveled half the map, I feel like. Yeah. Okay, but this is exactly how Team Wales played their first game in the tiebreaker series against SBTC. They played in even more aggressive bot lane, or even more pushing bot lane. They actually played Caitlyn Lux in that game, just to give Killer Queen all the freedom in the bot side to invade permanently. This is just what Killer Queen did right here again. Invaded first red buff, stole away the first red buff this time around. Last time he actually died for it, so this is already a better start on the bot side of the map. Unfortunately, this time around, Nagia is struggling.
And I think it's also time here, Yulway, for a quick, milky, fun stat. And the fun stat for this segment is, how many games do you think Nagia has on Malphite this season, and how many has he won?
I don't know. 3 games, 2 victories?
5 games, 5 victories. He's got 6 all-time games on Malphite. He lost his other game on Malphite, which might have been a couple of seasons ago. And now Nagia roaming down towards DNK, saying, how dare you invade my lovely spider, taking her chickens? And DNK saying, well, I'm on the chickens, so you're not allowed to take chickens, but Killer Queen will get them nonetheless.
Yeah, and just finishing the point on the Malphite, Nagia played it in Game 3 and the deciding game in their tiebreaker as well. He was completely put into the dumpster, that time not by an Emperor alone, but just by doubling and tripling down and diving him over and over again. He was 0-3 at the start of the game, I think even 0-4 at some point. And then they just won every single team fight, and he actually played amazingly in those team fights. So there's always hope. Nagia is a pretty complete player. I've actually been so amazingly impressed by him, because he was kind of on the edges of the good top laner threshold, I feel like. He was just one class below the Hasmats and Yoshinos of old, I guess. But now he has really come into his own. I would have voted for him as #1 top laner if you just talk about the regular season. And you know how much I love my Kiaya, so this player has really come into his own, in my opinion.
Yeah, and kind of this split, the narratives changed from, if we remember back to last year, Enper being this huge standout top laner who was just dominating everyone out of nowhere. We call him, lovingly the Emperor now. This split, he kind of fell off a little bit, and we've been talking about, okay, Nageer is now this top laner who's risen up to really challenge Kiaya at the top of the top laner rankings, if we could say that. However, this series is looking like Emper's slowly coming back in, and that's been kind of encapsulated by that solo kill that we just saw from Emper.
Yeah, and I actually don't think Enper has been, Enper's performance has been weak in this split. I feel like the overall level of top lane is finally really strong at the VCS again, because you have to consider Yoshino is coming back. Yoshino is a legendary top laner, and he didn't just come back. He actually came back in top form. We still have Kiaya. Okay, Husband has had a little bit of a stinker of a split. That's fair. But then Nagia has only gotten better since entering the league. Hero has always been a really good laner. So even though late game, mid game, he's not the greatest, as Nagia is under pressure, but he should be able to ult out of here. Oh, or is he?
Flash engaged though from Enper. Nagia still has flash available and instead decides to use the ult to escape, as Team Wales being a bit aggressive. Beat though taking a lot of damage now. Flash forward from Slater. Thank you very much for the kill. They look to Vic. He burns the cleanse. He burns the flash, but he is not getting out of this. Hook, line, and sinker. Double kill for Slater.
And I didn't want to bring up the Slater stats because he has not been having a lot of success even throughout his whole career on the Varus. But who cares if he performs today? Because first pick Varus looked scary after all those ADC bans, but he gets the double kill. Really nice setup. Okay, 1 kill back, Lori with a nice roam, but still 2 kills into the pockets of Slater, and that's a Varus with an advantage in lane. That means that Zeri is gonna suffer, because now they can probably just force fights all the time. Usually it's kind of hard to fight Nautilus into Braum, as we've seen early on in the game, where the Nautilus just needs to be very defensive, because if he goes in and gets isolated, the Braum deals more damage and just is more tanky. But in this case now, where the Varus is such a huge advantage, I think this bot lane is good to go and play more aggressively for the next few minutes.
And I do really want to praise Palette, not just for this game, but for this series, because, again, I remember to all of my time spent here in the VCS, you always think of V as this amazing macro support, always roaming around the map. B hasn't found a lot of opportunities to do those roams, and whenever he has, Palette has been there to match those roams, and Palette has just been seemingly a little bit better as well in terms of the individual lane matchups, as we see Nagia flashing out of the chains of corruption from Slater.
Yeah, and Palette getting back into form is such a huge boon for the league, because the new era of supports with B and Taki especially has been exciting, but we always wanted to see Palette also be good. Oh, Enper, he does have a lot of defensive tools in his arsenal. Can he live?
The cocoon does land. Ultimate used by Vit. Emper down to half health, but Team Wells can just now look for second dive. Emper though pulling Killer Queen out of the tower range, playing this dive so beautifully is Enper, and now the wave is temporarily gone, but Team Wales can look for a third dive onto Enper, because the third wave has arrived, and Elise is such a good champion when it comes for diving.
Wait a sec. Oh, Killer Queen!
Killer Queen just dies! And Vit almost took another tower shot. Meanwhile, in the top lane, SBTC play their 2v1 beautifully. Not only do they get a kill, they drop down the Rift Herald to pick up first tower pre-10 minutes.
Wales is falling apart. This is Cassandra we're talking about. This is a full HP Cassandra. You only bring 1 consistent damage dealer. This is an aggressive 2v3 actually, but B might be doomed to die here.
Split available with the Entova strikes knocked around though. The Ignite ticking down. Vit just needs
no
one
way.
Sniped down though by the Q from Glory, and it is a shutdown for the Team Wells mid laner.
It's all about Glory now. This is the Glory story. He actually carried his team so hard in one of the Jace games as well last week. In general, a really, really strong player when it comes to team fighting, and Jace is one of really strong champions, as we see the dive on the gear. Much better. The way they set up this dive is so much better than on the bot side, just playing around the edges of the tower range, and Nagia never actually getting into the position where he could try to counterplay with the tower on his 8. So now SBTC, 4k gold ahead at 10 minutes. What just happened?
God. That the replay that we saw off the top side, I thought that was a live play for a second, so I went full into casting it, and then I realized, wait, hang on, that's not live. I got somewhat caught out by seeing the fact that there was still a tower in the outer lane, but a very, very impressive start from SBTC. And now Glory and B roaming up to the mid lane, daring Dia1 to step up too far forward, and Team Wells with this little death brush that they have planned.
Yeah, now we need to talk about Elise, because as some of the analysts were very critical of this Elise, I wanted to hold off judgment because I know this is something Team Wales likes to do. Very aggressive jungler picks with perma invades, as we see again. Unfortunately for DNK, he is not allowed to get any of his own red buffs, but it doesn't really matter. He's actually ahead in CS compared to an Elise. And the ganks haven't been great, so now this Elise is just on the downwards trajectory for the rest of the game, because she's Elise, and Elise is not that much of a champion later on. So we need to be... I mean, we kind of have to pose the question now, is Team Wales just lost in their own drafts a bit? Because if Game 1 was so dominant and so well played, just front-to-back team fighting, it looked so comfortable for them, and the next two games, I'm not entirely sure what's happening.
And Team Wales have been really linear over the last few minutes. Kind of what you highlighted your way, the fact that, right, they need to play around Glory now. Is the Glory story 2-0. And that's all they've been doing, just trying to look to the mid lane. And Dia1 knows exactly what the plan of Team Wales is. Wales now trying to get this Drake, bit of a death brush. They're looking up for Emperor, who just walks right on in as Nagia engages with the ultimate. DNK low, goes golden. One
what?
Flashing out of the scatter of the week. But it doesn't matter, he's not able to get the kill onto DNK, and now Team Wales on the back foot as SBTC are just snowballing their goal lead insanely well. Now 5,000 gold ahead, and we're not even 13 minutes into the game.
It keeps getting worse and worse for Wales, and they just double down on the bad fights. You have a Zeri, try to play for late game. You know you're better in the mid game, and even if you're 5k gold down right now, you have the first dragon. There's no need to fight right now. And they way over-indexed into that one pick, but they just don't have the damage. They might have the damage to kill Slater, but good flash and good dodge as well. Slater just walks away.
Yeah, Killer Queen trying to predict Slater sidestepping to the right. Instead, sidesteps to the left, and this is the engage from Team Wales.
Yeah, and Vid tries to stay safe, but he needs to deal the damage, and then, that was on the edge with the Gragas ultimate. The flash might... Yeah, I mean, I don't want to blame it from the flash too much. I think the angle wasn't the correct one. He could have flashed downwards, but in the end, the Gragas cast spelled his doom anyway. Now he's lost his flash too, 5k gold deficit, so now it's on Wales to really just sit back, just... zoom out, and here is where B's presence and the veteran presence is really called for, where they have to calm down their teammates, right? 0-3 top laner, jungler with an early game champion really far behind. They now need to just step back and do a bit of really good calm shot calling. Okay, we still have a Zeri, we still have a Braum, we still have strong team fighting. Our Jason is in a good position to catch waves and not die on the side lanes too. Let's just chill for 20 minutes and let Zeri scale.
And this is something where I think Team Wales, or formerly Luxury with Killer Queen, would have just been all out more coin flip, right? They just continue to coin flip when they're behind. And yes, sometimes the coin flips go their way, but most of the time it's not, and they're just going to dig their own graves. And now let's see, with B being the addition to the roster, how much better can they play? And this is not a if they lose, therefore they're terrible, because they're in such a difficult position. But we get to see how they play, and they're looking to take this Rift Herald, and maybe they are looking to coin flip more and more. Dia1 teleporting in, looking for a potential play. Slater making his way in, explosive cask lands onto 3, but doesn't deliver anyone for an engage for SBTC, and the Rift Herald practically secured now. Emperor, though, still looking for a potential play, and the Rift Herald stolen away. Team Wales, though, will be able to get one kill as Dia1 very nicely flashes out of Nagia's ultimate, so it is a trade of Rift Herald for kill.
Yeah, they would have actually preferred the Rift Herald because there was objective bounties already on that Rift Herald, so that would have been a nice chunk of global gold, and they will lose that mid tower because they just can't even 5v4 in this situation. It's too risky. Another kill over to Glory, so it's really all concentrated onto this mid lane, and we know late game Jace can absolutely carry team fights, especially Glory, one of the best Jaces from the mid lane position in our league. I was really questioning Team Wales playing this much for team fights anyway at this point in the game, but they did kind of do well. Nagia not pulling the trigger too early with the ultimate, just playing more defensively, but unfortunately they lose the objective. Now Nagia sees the opportunity to go on Dia1. good flash from DA1. So actually Team Wales playing it rather slowly, and that's exactly what we want to see.
And I would like to highlight as well, one of the reasons that fight didn't go particularly well for SBTC was the fact that Slater wasn't there. He pathed weirdly into the mid lane, so his only presence in that team fight was a single piercing arrow that I think landed onto Nagia, but that was it. So that was practically a 4v5 fight with SBTC being at numbers disadvantage.
This is where we expect Team Wales to outplay SBTC now on the lane assignments, on tempo resets and stuff like that. Killer Queen once again on the red buff. That is the only place on the map where Team Wales is winning this game, just permanently invading the enemy red buff. That's the third in a row Killer Queen is stolen, I believe. But on the other side, DNK is actually taking away all the top side jungle creeps from his counterpart in the jungle. And DNK is still ahead, both in CS and levels, actually. So all the invades, all the early aggression in the jungle haven't really done anything.
Explosive cask used by DNK, and SBTC are roaming their way up to this top lane, looking for a potential dive. They have the Chains of Corruption available from Slater, and Team Wales are going to be forced to back away as SBTC claim their first inner tower. But now, teleport flank, Nagia looking for that big ultimate. Who does he look for? He's forced to back away because SBTC are 5 and they are still stronger than the Wales.
Okay, slight opportunity here for Wales to just beeline towards Dragon and try to burst it down before SBTC can react, because they had to take the long way around. If they get the Dragon, that's 5 more minutes they can just use to scale, so that's a huge opportunity to get back into the game. We have seen Wales play from behind, play team fights well, around Nagia on that Malphite just about a week ago, so this is a huge opportunity. But Wales calling it off, going back towards top side, trying to trade, maybe set up a trade of Dragon for top tower, more global gold. So it's an okay call to make, but actually looking at the map positioning or the resets from SBTC, I feel like the Dragon would have been a better and bigger opportunity to strike.
And again, Team Wales, if they want to make a play, they have to dive Emperor, and we saw how badly that went for Team Wales before. Palette here as well, and forced to repel his Killer Queen now flashes away, but in goes Palette. He wants this spider. Nom nom nom. SBTC pick up their 7th kill.
Yeah, look at the other side of the map. That's a Dragon for free. Now, more than free, actually. Winning on both sides now. They invested time onto Dragon. They are also going to get bot side tower. They are going to get a counter kill on the dive. That was ill-advised from the Elise again. That's the Killer Queen of old, and this Elise pick looking worse and worse with every passing minute.
And I'm just wondering if this is a case of maybe Killer Queen / Team Wales saying, yes, okay, we can get Vit to scale, but Killer Queen saying, I'm playing Elise, I can't scale. Maybe he feels desperation in the fact that he needs to do in the early stages of the game.
Most definitely feeling desperation, but this is something you need to be disciplined about. If you play an early game champion and you fail to make an impact in the early game and you're behind, this is not solo queue. This is not about you now. You're still playing a 5-man team. Try to play around your strong points of your composition. Okay, Vid is not strong right now, but he potentially could be strong later, right? So instead of just throwing away the game for no reason, playing egotistically, just try to set up your carries to shine later. And I mean, Elise, yeah, she's not a great champion late game, but she can still kind of do the odd stun here or there. She can pose a little bit of a threat onto the carries if she comes from a flank or something like that. So you're never gonna be completely useless in the game, even as Elise. So this is a really badly disciplined performance from Killer Queen. Just doubling down on his early game woes, and 0-2 doesn't look too bad, but he really has been the main factor for Team Wales losing this game so far.
And also, quick Elise stat, there have been 9 Elise games in the VCS this split. Only 3 of those games have been won. Killer Queen getting one of the wins, Guri getting another, and Drakthar with the final game win on this champion. As DA1 finds an engage onto Killer Queen, bursts it down solo, forced to go up, which denies the dredge line and denies the unleashed power. But now B's just been left to the wall. Piercing arrow almost lands, which would have spelled B's demise. And in the end, SBTC, they don't get any kills, but they do win the fight of health bars, and now they're just going to turn towards the Baron Nashor.
Bit risky into the likes of Zeri Jace and Malphite. Let's see if they do the same as Wales last game. Of course, they're much, much farther ahead than Wales was at the same kind of situation, but they are, look at the HP bars. Baron hurts at this point in the game, especially after the buffs early on in the season or even pre-season, so it's a little harder to take now. It's not completely free like it was last year, and this will now give Wales an opportunity to have a go at this tower. Zeri and Jace, really good champions at pushing down towers. That's potential. They can't quite get the tower, but next push will be another objective bounty, so a little bit of a slip up from SBTC.
And SBTC thinking that they could get the Baron were very well played by the side of Team Wales, particularly Glory poking members out with those shock blasts, forcing SBTC to recall. And now a teleport in from Dia1 as he completes his Archangel Staff. That will soon become a Seraph's Embrace. And Team Wales continuing to try to push. DNK here on the flank, explosive, blocked by the unbreakable wall from B. And Team Wales now make their retreat.
Really nice play from B there to block. That would have been complete disaster. That would have hit Vit, who even flashed away to get away from the initial engagement. B's the saving grace there for his team, and Wales is holding on. It's a very thin threat, and they're about to fall off, but so far they just barely are still in the game. They're very far behind, but with the dragon stalling to at least 2 more dragons, maybe, just maybe, they will have another opportunity at a slightly more even playing field around one of the fights. And Glory, once again, have to reiterate, is the one shining light for this team. He's now on 2 items. His poke actually mattered quite a bit in the last engagement, as he pointed out. So if he gets 1 more item, maybe a Sheraldus, and can really start to force the enemy team back, there's always a chance.
And yes, Team Wales are trying to hold on, but here's the thing about Wales, Yulwei. They don't have hands, so holding on to anything is a very difficult when all they have are a couple of fins. And now SBTC look towards the Baron Nashor once more. Can Killer Queen find a hero play? Even if he dies to steal away the Baron, it would be 100% worth it. And SBTC back away from the Nashor once more, and their eyes are going to be firmly now on the Hextech Drake.
Yeah, Wales is doing a decent job actually getting to the objectives that SBTC is trying to force, but not committing to the fights, because SBTC is desperately trying to bait a fight here, right? Oh, that was an unbelievable flash from Glory.
Glory, very quick reactions. Palette landing the dredge line. The engage has been started by the side of SBTC, but Nagia and B are very tanky, just eating up the brunt of the damage from SBTC. What can a Glory do? Killer Queen now being hooked. But Killer Queen is already down, and the 2 carries, I should say, of Team Wales are now on the retreat with Nagia and Killer Queen dead, which means SBTC have a free path to the Nashor.
Yeah, that should really advance the game to a state where SBTC is in absolute control over the whole map. Now the Baron can be easily transitioned into a dragon and then break at least 1 inhibitor, as for some reason Vid is dying.
Emperor was going to follow him. Gets the kill anyway as Glory was trying to steal away the Drake. Team Wales desperately trying to find some objective. Vit gets caught, and now the Drake will be secured by SBTC. A 10k goal lead for SBTC, and we're not even 25 minutes into this game.
Yeah, this is such an unbelievable flash, by the way. Glory is trying hard. We can't blame Glory if they lose the series. Don't start with this narrative of Glory choker and players. No.
We haven't seen game 4 yet. We haven't seen game 4 yet, your way.
Just already shielding against those kind of takes. This is just completely doomed. Have no idea how Killer Queen ended up in the middle of the enemy team. Nagia kind of has to go in. Killer Queen is dead again. Solo killed by the enemy jungler when he was perma-invading. This is probably the worst jungle game we've seen in a very long time in this league, where jungle is kind of our prime position, our one big pride. We take a lot of pride in our jungle position, and Killer Queen is running it down, like straight up having the worst game of his whole year in a very, very inopportune time. I can't even really think of a way that Team Wales can come back into the game. It has to come from a huge throw from SBTC.
Oh, did Killer Queen get a kill here onto Dia1?
He did.
There he did. And he got the flash as well. And then... Oh no.
I honestly, after seeing that is more acceptable then, because he actually got the solo kill on the enemy mid laner, and okay, huh?
The flash was definitely not necessary. An 8k goal lead for SBTC, as SBTC will be picking up their second inner tower of the game. Drake up in less than 4 minutes, and it will be a Hextech Soul. Hextech Soul for the likes of Deer 1 and Slater will be absolutely huge.
Yeah, Hextech Soul, I think it's really nice also for Gragas, because he can just use his Q to zone, because you really don't want to step into that slow lightning through your whole team. So it's certainly one of those very high utility souls. It's just almost every situation you like to have it. so that's gonna be on the horizon. SBTC, honestly, really thinking about the last 2 games, they are about to win in under 30 minutes, back-to-back against Wales, after getting dominated in game number 1. Very short game times today, even though both of these teams tend to go to 33 minutes on average, at least in the league play, the league portion of the season, I should say. So this is really surprising how quickly these games have been decided in the mid-game, and even more surprising to me that it's SBTC who play like this.
And SBTC continue this siege playing exceptionally well, and they've not really made any large mistakes this game. Yes, we saw Deer 1 getting caught out, but aside from that, they've played it slow, they've played it calculated, and haven't given Team Wales much room to pull themselves back into this game. A reset now, an inhibitor laid bare in favor of SBTC. And they're going to be looking at that Drake in just over 2 minutes, and then there'll be a Baron shortly after that. And Team Wales do not have a lot of time left if they want to scale and be able to match SBTC in a team fight.
Yes, you can say that again. There's no time left at all. 2 minutes, I guess, on the clock for the final fight for the Hextech Soul. If you lose that soul, yeah, it's all she wrote. I think it's completely over. I want to look at Slater, because I said at the start, his stats on the Varus are abysmal across his whole career. 8 games on Varus, 2 and 6. Only 1 game this year, even though Varus has been very high priority everywhere, and also in the VCS. Lost that game as well, so I didn't expect too much from Slater in this game, but he has really stepped up to the plate. Double kill in the bot lane in a really risky matchup, where if you overchase, Zeri just runs you down. But now 4, 1, and 3, really hard to kill if you look at his itemization, double defensive items, so even the Malphite can't really touch him. And this might be the last engagement. Hail Mary for Team Wales.
Nagia being engaged on Team Wales, desperately trying to maintain control of the river, and SBTC say, if you guys want control of the river, go for it. We'll just take control of your base. You bring up the champion stats of the Varus or Slater. Let's talk about full Nagia. Not lost a single game on the Malphite this season. It has been his best champion, and the Emperor has absolutely decimated Nagia in this game. An inhibitor now forwards even more map pressure for SBTC, and now they'll start to walk towards the Drake.
Yeah, it's such a long way away now. Team Wales somehow has to walk to the Dragon without losing all the HP, and SBTC has every opportunity to look for SCC stack, to look for an engage. Look at DNK setting up the flank to get on top of the backline. Of course, there is still B's E to deny his ultimate, but there's the engage on Nagia.
And Nagia chunked down to about half health already. The Cassante of Emperor still doing rather well. Out comes the ultimate, the Glacial Fissure. Another hook from Palette looking towards Nagia, dashing away. Emperor now flashing forward, finds a flip. He's burger flipping them up. McDonald's glory forced to flash away. Vit over the wall. Team Wales on the back foot, but what a play from the Emperor.
That's the biggest Cassante Q I've ever seen in my life. That hit 3 people. That was more impactful than Malphite in the whole game. Emperor with an absolutely stunning performance in game number 3. I thought today was Nagia's day to cement his position as #1 top laner, but no. Emperor. The Emperor is here to play, and he solo killed Nagia. He played all the team fights amazingly, found the engages, and SBTC in slightly over 30 minutes to a 2-1 lead.
Really, really well played by SBTC. Emperor, clearly the MVP from this game. What a performance on the Cassante. We know that